I'm still on this value thing, and I guess I'm talking to you here, Gary, but also maybe to Piro and possibly to Dana Garrett, if you're watching this video, Dana. And it's to do with the relationship between value and sentience again, and embodiment again, if I can get to that. And I'm just imagining a scenario of a couple of objects, or a couple of entities. And the two I'm going to start with is a lump of wax and a human being. If you get a lump of wax and you put it by the fire, you put it in that situation, it will undergo a transformation. It will melt. If you put it a bit further away from the fire, it will not undergo that transformation. It will stay relatively solid. But I don't think it makes any sense at all to say that there is, intrinsic to that situation, anything of value. Now, we as human beings, external to that situation, might say, might apply value to those different situations. If we want soft wax, we might say this position by the fire is a valuable place for the wax to be. If we want hard wax, we'll say this place away from the fire is a valuable place to be. But intrinsic, inherent within the situation, within the wax-fire relationship interaction, there is no value. I hope we're agreed on that. Take a human. Put a human, myself, beside the fire. If I stay there long enough, my skin will start to char, and then it will, turn to ash ultimately. If I move away from the fire, my skin will not char, not turn to ash. It'll maintain a relatively stable temperature. I would say that that situation has changed because now, inherent in that situation, is the possibility of value. There is an evaluative principle going on there, and that evaluative principle is this thing called sentience, I would say, and is the origins of this thing called sentience. But I don't need someone outside of that to frame my condition as valuable or invaluable. In fact, someone outside this condition, of course, if they're a torturer, might redefine it, but I hope we're in agreement that the values that the person inherent in the situation, those values inherent in the situation itself, are the ones we should be taking note of. Okay, right, so let's just put two other objects in front of the fire. We're going to put Phoebe in front of the fire, and we're going to put that dandelion there in front of the fire. Okay, Phoebe, dandelion. Let's start with the dandelion. Put the dandelion in front of the fire. It will desiccate, dry out, fall over. All the metabolic processes going on within it will cease. If I moved away from the fire, those things will continue. Inherent within the situation, I don't think there's anything going on there which can be called value. Inherent within it. Outside of it, again, I can apply values to it. I can say, no, these plants are beautiful, we should preserve them, or whatever, I can do that. But there's nothing inherent within the situation to make that kind of evaluation. In fact, if anything, if there is anything going on in that situation itself, because plants being automatic little machines, it would and observe its actions, you would possibly think the reverse. If it was a bright glowing fire, the plant may even start to turn in the direction of the fire. So there's nothing inherent in that situation to confer any kind of value on that situation. Just like the wax, you will see a transformation, molecules will rearrange themselves, chemical processes will take place, reducing large parts of that plant to carbon, but there is inherent in the situation, there's no value change, because there's no value. Put the dog in front of the fire, poor old Phoebe, put poor old Phoebe in front of the fire, she will undergo similar processes to me. Her skin will start to char and there'll be a horrible smell of burning fur, but and move her away and she won't do that, she'll fall asleep. But I would say inherent in that situation, Phoebe, fire, interaction, relationship, inherent in that there is valuation going on, and it's going on because Phoebe is sentient, a sentience built out of a bedrock of something like valuation, of being able to make discriminatory choices between positive and negative stimuli and move away from the bloody fire if it gets too hot. And that changes the game. That means that Phoebe is an evaluative agent, a plant is not an evaluative agent. It makes a difference, it makes a difference. Okay, let me just go into this thing that you were talking about, Dana, which is propositional statements. Value is always propositional statements. I hope that those examples I've just talked about demonstrate what I mean by embodiment. I move away from the fire when I'm hot, not because I am capable of framing a propositional statement to that effect and comparing it to a set of criteria which might judge the truth or falsity of that propositional statement. No, I'll move away from the fire because I'm hot. The propositional statement, fires are hot, hot damages human skin tissue, that's a bad thing. Those kinds of propositional statements follow the experience, they don't lead it, surely. And you know, my dog is incapable of making propositional statements, but she's going through exactly the same evaluative processes. So that's what I mean by embodiment. Embodiment precedes proposition. That'll do.